What's going on, everybody? It is day two of Talk Your Book. My name is Jory O'Neill. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully, you can hear me. A little bit of noise in the background. I am at No Rush Cafe. Decided to take this on the road. Today's day two of the Unleash walkthrough. Pretty much yesterday, we sat with the prologue and the origin story. Today is a how-to day. Okay, Friday we're going to come back to the book, but today's the question the whole book is built on. What did God actually put in you? And so before you can answer that question, there's an earlier question that you have to sit with, and that's what today is about. So to figure out what you're supposed to do, you have to figure out who you are, right? And that's chapter one in a sentence. Now, most people, when they're asked how they are, they say good or fine, right? Somewhere along the last couple of years, I stopped saying good because I realized I didn't actually know what I meant by it, right? What does it mean to be good? And how do you know if you're hitting the mark, right? So here's a line that I wrote in the book. For a large portion of my life, I lived up to other people's expectations of me. Everything I did was based on what I thought I was supposed to be doing, how I thought I was supposed to be acting, and how I was supposed to be feeling. Now, it's taken me about 20 years to unbreak a lot of those thoughts, 20 years to peel back the definition of good, and I actually never agreed to in the first place, right? But was somehow living up to anyway. So if you're creative right now, an entrepreneur, if you're an overwhelmed business owner, listening to this in your car or on the way to a meeting, you don't want to really be in, if we're being honest. I want to offer you the same thing I offered the room of women who actually took through this Unleashed series. This Unleashed series was initially called Why Factor X, and it was helping people understand their gifts, their abilities, why they were placed on this earth. And so I walked a group of women through this exercise and took over maybe like 6 weeks. And in the process of this, tons of breakthroughs. And I'll share those as I share a bit about the book. But the book was created initially for me. These were downloads that God gave me at 3 a.m. that I use, that I applied to my life. And once I started seeing fruit, once I started seeing results, I started telling other people about it, and they wanted to know more. And so that's honestly how this book was birthed. I'll tell you about exactly what happened in a minute. The opportunity that I gave these women to break free from the identity that they never signed up for. Before I do that, again, today is a how to. So I want you to grab something. If you're driving, save this part for later. Just remember I asked you, okay? I want you to write down really quickly every hat that you wear, every title, every role. Don't rank them, not yet. Don't judge them. Just get them out of your head and onto the paper. So they can be mother, father, daughter, son, sister, brother, friend, employee, manager, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, disciple, right? Cousin, entrepreneur, activist, coach, caregiver, CEO, founder, freelancer, teacher, nurse, minister, millennial, baby boomer, somebody's kid, somebody's parent. Once you finish that list, I want you to look at it. There's a lot of hats for that one head of yours. Now I want you to pick three. That three that best describe how you identify yourself right now in this season of life. Not who you were 10 years ago, not who you hope to be 10 years from now, but who you actually are today. And here's the question that will unlock the whole chapter for you. For each of those three titles, I want you to write down what it means to be a good version of that thing. What does it mean to be a good mom, a good wife, a good friend? What does it mean to be a good father, a good spouse, a good business owner, a good employee, a good creative? And here's the punch of it. I want you to write down who taught you that. Where did that idea come from? Where did that definition initiate? Did you agree to it? Or was it handed to you before you were old enough to even have an opinion about it? You see, I asked this question to the same group of women in that circle. And I walked through again like 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks of us uncovering our gift. It was supposed to be a 5 day challenge, and it just turned into this other thing. Like wow, I was it was cool. So the words that I wrote in the book, with their permission, right? I told them, I'm going to create content from this. Are you okay? Names are changed, different identities, right? Specifics are changed. I want you to hear what came back because you're going to recognize yourself in a lot of what they shared, whether you're a woman or not, be honest with you. So we started with daughter, this is a group of women, because whether their parents were alive or they passed on, they were all somebody's kid. The first woman, let's call her Naomi, the reflection. She looked at her list, and this is exactly what she said verbatim. She said, the things that I was taught, I don't even think they were ever told to me directly. I just picked up on them. Can you relate to that? It was implied. I wrote down transparent, respectful, take care of, and whether it's my actions, my accomplishments, or my failures, at the end of the day, I'm a reflection of my mom. My triumphs are hers, and where I mess up, my downfalls are hers too. That last part stopped the entire room. Nobody ever said that out loud to her. Nobody said your mistakes are your parents' mistakes. She just absorbed the belief that her failures belong also to her mother. As a young person, that's a lot of weight to carry. Most of us, creatives, entrepreneurs, quiet overachievers, kids who grew up trying to make their parents proud, most of us are still carrying some version of that right now without ever having agreed to it. Then came Ruth, uh, who I call the one who didn't fit the mold. She wrote, take care of your family, cook, get married, have children, and be a reflection of your mother. Those are the things you're taught to believe growing up, a reflection of your mother, not your own person, not your own identity, but a reflection of your mother. And then, almost under her breath, she said, which I wasn't. If you've ever felt the quiet ache of not matching the mold you were handed, the family mold, the industry mold, the six-figure mold, the pastor's kid mold, the good immigrant child mold, whatever it was, Ruth, that's your girl. She said the loudest thing in the room in the quietest voice. And then it was Grace. I call her the caretaker. Grace said something most of us never actually get a chance to do. She said before her mother died, when she was still at home, she asked her, she said, because I'm one of those weird people, she said she asked her mother, am I a good daughter? And her mother's response was yes. Because if you weren't, I would have told you a long time ago. Now, I don't know if I'm more impressed by Ruth or Grace's bravery or her mother's brazenness to say, if you weren't, I would have told you. But I loved it because Grace had the guts to ask the question outright, the question that most of us never do. We carry around the weight of an answer that we're even afraid to ask. And for most of us, our entire lives. So when I put these women's answers together, a pattern started to show up. And it's the same pattern I want you to notice in your own titles. You see, every single woman had been taught that their actions, their accomplishments, even their families were a reflection of somebody else, that they were supposed to be devoted, caring, loyal, right? To take care of everyone. And underneath it all, whether it was spoken out loud or was to be an expectation of somebody's mirror, um, asked the room a simple follow up question. I said, by a show of hands, how many of you feel you've been a good daughter by that definition? One of them honestly said, by my mother's standards, I've failed miserably. And I share those sentiments where many things my mom had planned for me, I outright refused, right? Did not give it a try, did not even think to even attempt to get it done. Um, there were paths she wanted me to walk on. There were choices that I made. I know that I disappointed her. But here's the reframe that changed everything for me. As much as I love my mother, my calling was not to please my mother. My calling is to please God. And so once I stopped asking whether I was a good daughter to her and started asking whether I was a good daughter to God, the response shifted. And I want you to hear that translated for wherever you're standing, right? If you're an entrepreneur, your calling isn't to please the investor who told you your idea was too small. If you're creative, your calling isn't to please the family member who asked you to, when you're going to get a real job. And if you're an overwhelmed business owner, your calling isn't to please the market or that needy client, the algorithm or a version of success somebody else drew a picture of before you even got there. Your calling, regardless of what season of life you're in, is to please the God who put the gift in you in the first place. I want to close by sharing about Miss Eleanor. She was the oldest woman in the circle, um, late bloomer. She's a baby boomer, but I call her late bloomer. She was, I think, 68 at the time. And she said this. She said, "I'm 68 years old, and all my life I've been judged in one way or another by women, by men, by my family. And I'll be honest, I haven't been the daughter to God that I wanted to be. But now, at 68, she said, I'm learning the word, practicing it in my life, and it's making me a better child. Not to my mother, but to God." She says, "I'm not there yet. I just want to get as close as I possibly can." 68 and still becoming. She hasn't arrived. She hasn't decided that that's all, that's it. So if you've ever told yourself that you've missed your window, that the gift was for a younger version of you, a less tired version of you, a less broken version of you, a less behind in taxes version of you, Miss Eleanor would like a word. Her life is an example that the invitation didn't expire. She just hadn't opened it yet. So here's one takeaway that I want for you. That definition of good that you've been chasing your whole life, the one you never actually agreed to. Search that thought down. Find out where it came from. Who wrote it? Because if it wasn't you and you never agreed to it, then let's agree to stop chasing it. Now, if today landed with you, and if you wrote down those three titles, you had to sit with a couple of them, right? I invite you to the Talk Your Book Masterclass. I will be inviting you every day until it drops. August 11th. This is where we go deeper in this exact work. It is $47. The link will be in the description. I run it twice a month, and the next one is coming up fast. The Unleash book will be dropping at the end of this month. I will be coming on here and I'll be sharing again the practices, the reason behind everything in the book, because I want to show you and I want to share how to turn your story into an asset. Again, this was a book made up of just lessons, reflections in my own journal that I then shared with other people in passing, then wrote a book about it, then got invited to do an entire weekend seminar upstate with it, then ran a challenge with it, then created a community around it, and then a coaching program. These lessons, my story, my reflections, they turn into this thing when I started sharing them. And for a lot of you, there was a ton of goodness packed inside of you, and you've been struggling to get out. So pull up. I want to help you get it done. All right, tomorrow we're going to go back to the book. I'm going to share specific portions of it. We're still in chapter one, and I want to tell you about the Floor Model TV. My video last week, Friday, my YouTube short, I shared about it, but I don't think people got it. If you're not a Cosby Show fan, you wouldn't get it, but you're going to get it tomorrow. So super excited to have you here. Thank you again for tuning in. Click like, subscribe, put a little notification so that you're right back here when I go live again. All right. You have an incredible day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.